Hey, okay, so how are we doing? Okay, so this video is all about Mesa Deconstruction. I posted something about what I was doing on Instagram, and a few of you looked for me to kind of do a little more of an explanation. So before we get started, though, is that I want to just put it out there that what's being presented is only my way of doing it. This isn't an absolute. There's no, this is the right way, wrong way, what have you. Um, this is something that I've felt intuitively guided to do for quite a while, and I would recommend that you do the same if this is something that you've felt that needed to be done, and that you're looking for some sort of conclusion or closure or something like that. This is something that you definitely should look into. So one of the first things that went down was the realization that I needed to do this, and that I really felt strongly that this was something that I needed to do. Reason being is that the world that we're moving into right now is it's a place of self-authority. It's a place of inner authority, a place of finding our own truth and what is true to us, and not being told what to do or how to do anything. Really taking that what is it? The self-actualization and the self-reliance and the all the self stuff, and really taking it to a different level. We're moving into the Age of Aquarius from Pisces. Pisces is all about outer authority. It's all about somebody else telling us how to do things, that these are the rules. For example, like the 10 Commandments from religions, the police, presidents, authority figures, things like that tell us how to live our lives and give us rules and stuff like that. And so the Age of Aquarius is finding our own rules and finding how to live on our own terms, and yet thinking of the collective. It's a kind of a paradoxical age that we're going into. It's kind of strange and it's kind of different, but I'm really doing this because of that. I feel that the age that we're going into, the fact that we're going to a new age, is really telling me that whatever brought us up to this point, we can't take it with us. All the stuff, all the learning, all the ways that we used to think, all the applications and the psychology and the energetics and things like that, you can't take it with us. It no longer applies, and this includes the Mesa. The Mesa, it was a great idea. It was a great concept to present a way of self-healing and a way of dealing with our traumas and dealing with our issues and dealing with and learning to face that stuff and learning how to work with it and energetically apply it and do a lot of healing through it. But for me, I can't take it with me. It was no longer relevant to where we're going. Like I said, it no longer applies, and I have no idea where we're going. Right now it's a dark hallway, and all I see is this light at the end of the tunnel. But right now it's this dark hallway of just uncertainty. So that being said, the first thing that I did was I took all day. I took about 6 hours to do it, and I took the time, and I made sure I had the time to do it. I went through every single stone. Now, there are some people out there who do one stone at a time, maybe a couple stones here, and take about a week, let that stone set in, things like that. So it's really up to you. It's really up to you on what you do. But for me, what I did is I took me being me, I charge through it, and I go through it, and I just get it done, and just and deal with it. So I have high energy to deal with stuff like that. So I created sacred space. I sat there and I created my environment, and I drummed for a little while, drummed for about half an hour or so, really brought in the ancestors, really brought in uh, the assistants and the helpers and the archetypes and the angels and the galactic, everybody, brought in everybody. And it was more of a gathering of appreciation and gratefulness, and and just a lot of just kind of closure, and that in showing that I'm ready to go on my own, and that to be my own authority, and to go out and live life according to the way I see fit, not to diminish anything that I've learned from anybody, but it's more of just kind of being this energetic adult and going out into the world and just being, these are my own inner rules, and this is how I'm going to live life. And I'm essentially just starting over, like completely starting over, like on all levels, starting over. And so like I said, the first thing I did was I opened sacred space. I really created the environment. I set out all my stones. So I had about 14 of them. I had 3 ancestor stones, and and I took each stone at a time, and I went through each of the 3 main centers of the energetic body. And I took each stone and I went through and I counterclockwise and unwound with each stone and each center. So for the heart center, I started, took the stone, really unwound it until I felt it was completely done, and pulled it and pulled that thread out, made sure there was no detachment, and then got that thread and pulled it out of there, and took that seke and I closed it and cut it. And then I took and I sucked out all the energy that was applied into it, and I blew it into a medicine wheel. And so a medicine wheel, just for, you may not know, I don't know if you do, but the difference between a medicine wheel and a Dreamcatcher is a Dreamcatcher has a netting, and a medicine wheel is a circle with a T in the center of it. Maybe it has a little medicine pouch or crystals or something like that. Sometimes there's a hybrid of both, but it was a medicine wheel that I blew all the energy that was associated with that stone into. And I did that for all 14 stones. And then after I went through the heart chakra, I went down to the other space, and then I went to the brow space, and I did the same thing, and then I set it aside, and then I went to the next one. And so that's why it took so long. That's why it took about 6 hours to do, and it was a lot of energy, and it took some time, and it really took a lot of effort. But it was there was emotions involved. There was a sense of relief. There was a sense of this massive closure, and that it really gave me the freedom to go out on my own. It was like leaving home. It was like leaving home and being out there and going out in the world and being like, wow, I'm on my own. So I have to really I'm out there exploring the world on my terms. And so that's what I did in the beginning, the first day. And so since then, what I did is I took 4 heavy hitter stones that I knew that I worked with a lot, and I believe they were mainly my West stones. Really, we know how the West went, and I burned them, and one of them disintegrated. And so after the burning and stuff, went in and I took all the pieces, and then I took the other 3 stones and I put them in a bag. And I sat and waited for the time to go down to the beach, and I went into the water, and I took those 4 stones, and I kind of went through a small little ceremony, and gave a sense of gratefulness and a sense of appreciation, and I threw them in the water. And then I took the ancestor stones and I put them in the water as well, because it was kind of ironic too, because it was the journey of the ancestor stones going from the mountains and then coming down and then going into the ocean. So that was a good insight to see, and so now I have about 6 stones left, and 6 or 7 stones left, and so deciding on what to do with those. They might be buried. I might go back out in the ocean. I might burn them. I'm not too sure, but I'm kind of sitting on them for right now, and so it's really up to what I'm guided to do with them. There's no hurry, there's no pressure, anything like that. So, yeah. So to answer some of your questions that you might have, as far as like, well, what about, if my shaman teacher told me that, be prepared for massive change and all that stuff. And so, to be honest with you, if you haven't been able to deal with the amount of changes that are happening right now to every single person, I don't know what to tell you, because it's like the changes are just so great and so massive right now that if you took your all your stones and did this anyway, it would just add on to the pile of changes that are happening, so it really couldn't get any like more intense. So actually, I think it's a pretty good time to do it. And so yeah, so if you're worried about your instructor telling you, or the person who taught you, the medicine wheel, well, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that or whatever, again, this is the time where you're your own authority. It's time for you to leave home. If you feel so called to do so, do it. And find your way of having that closure. Now, of course, like I said before in the beginning, this is the way I do things, and this is the way I've done it. So there's no absolutes. There's no this is how it should be done kind of stuff. Find your own way of doing it, and go into it gently, and go into it with with a sense of ease and gratefulness and appreciation, and it'll work out for sure. Now, as far as what I'm feeling and how things are going, when I first did it, the first day, it was this real subtle sense of being lighter, because the shamanic tradition that we learned, it's all earth based. It's a mothering, it's a feminine energy, and so it's very grounded, it's very dark, it's very heavy, it's earth, it's very grounded. And so cutting that and giving that sense of closure really kind of opened stuff up, and it gave this sense of being light and being lighter, and having a sense of just not being so pulled too. So if you have any questions about anything, anything that I said or that was presented in this video, let me know. You can go ahead and email me too as well, and go ahead and freely email me. Let me know how things have gone, if what you've decided to do with it, what your procedure was, or if you have any other questions about anything, kind of maybe do a little more detail on what I did. My email is chrisblair@bearandcrow.com, CHRISBLAIR @bearandcrow. That's BEARANDCROW.com, and let me know. So hopefully this video finds you well, and that it helped you out and kind of answered some questions that you might have, or what have you, and have a good day. All right.